Hello and welcome to Cutting Words. I'm Brad Thompson, and today we continue my Wild One Witchlight DMing series with Chapter 4, Yon. So if you missed any of my earlier videos, they're all on my channel. There'll be links below that lead you through to those videos. But we're now up to Chapter 4 now, and as always, this series, these videos are for Dungeon Masters only. If you're a player intending on playing this adventure, please check out now. Spoilers are rife here. All right. So with traveling through the mists from either realm actually, they arrive in Yon, the players, and upon arriving in Yon, they level up to level 6, and with that, they immediately stumble upon three figures. Amador, his beloved companion Polynella, the bee, and Gleam, one of the twin acrobatics artists. So Amador and Gleam, or Amador, which we start with. Amador is the guide to get players, guides through this whole realm. So Amador kind of holds his whole chapter together. He is the guide to get players around this whole realm here of Yon, as well as get them out of Yon and to the next location, the Palace of Heart's Desire, also known as Chapter 5, the final chapter. So he's crucial throughout all this, and he is got his companion Polynella, which weirdly is not a sentient creature. It's just a regular bumblebee, which is a bit weird of a relationship there. Like players, when I ran this, definitely questioned that and wanted to speak with animals of this bee to make sure she consents to all this. It seems a bit strange, this regular bee and this sentient flower having this love affair, but whatever. Sure. And so through these interactions with these three characters, the players will be basically instructed on guiding around this place and checking out three locations with random encounters. They should be used to this formula by now. They've done this twice already. It's the third time now. Explore around a realm, doing random encounters, and visiting three locations before finally reaching the Hag's Lair. Now, with this chapter, you may think, the players know how the Feywild works now, which they should. They should have learnt all this in the last two chapters, so in the last two Hag realms, and of Hither and Thither. And they should know all the three rules, Prismere. They should know how to play the game. Basically, this chapter is their moment to shine. It's the moment of like, okay, we know what we're doing now. We're not stumbling around anymore. We are pros at this. Let's show how much much we understand the Feywild in this realm, how it works now. Let's action time. This is a chance to shine and show off that they know how everything works and how to play the game properly. However, this chapter also presents a secret tunnel into the Hag's Lair. So 9 times out of 10, if players are presented with a secret tunnel entrance as opposed to knocking the front door and role-playing their way in and things, 9 times out of 10, they're going to take the secret tunnel. Like, we found a secret tunnel. Let's just go to the secret tunnel and go that route. So we'll talk more about the secret tunnel and Mother Horn, the whole Hag's Castle, Enderlin's Castle, just a hag of this realm, Enderlin, Moongrave, and we'll discuss that a little bit later when we get to that. We'll start off with locations, but yeah, just be aware, they'll probably take the secret tunnel. Okay. The random encounters in Yon, all good fun. Make sure to run the Cyclops though for the payoff for Amador and his grand love affair, and also hopefully leading into the Cyclops Fomorian love affair that we'll delve into a bit more in Chapter 5 with the Fomorian Queen. But so definitely make sure to run that one. So locations they arrive at there's 3 locations. We'll start with the Fey Beacons. The Fey Beacons has an NPC here, Prince Alagarthus, who's trying to escape Yon and get back to his realm through this effectively an 8-hour puzzle. Now, Prince Alagarthus is a pretty good NPC to replace, be it either replacing him with a character from someone else's backstory, and the player's backstory's there, or putting Prince Alligatus in another player's backstory, so they kind of have some history with him. Because you can have a bit more going on, like, oh hey, what, you disappeared? This is we being trying to escape. Oh, you're trying to get back to your kingdom, just defeat that green dragon, yada yada yada. You can hit a bit of 1-2 as opposed to this random guy. Okay, random guy. I guess we can help you, I suppose, for funsies. It's nice to have a bit more connection going on. So he's definitely a pretty good candidate to swap out or add to someone's backstory if it works, if it fits, as someone who's trying to escape the Feywild. Sure. It's the Fey beacons really. Deal with the birds and however you like, and off you go through the portal. And this is also a valid portal exit if the players want to leave for some reason now. Could happen, to be prepared for that, but I doubt it, because typically they'll be pretty invested in getting the Palace of Heart's Desire rather than taking a side trek to somewhere else in any plane of existence, I guess. Anyway, be prepared for that. Alright, then we arrive at Lockberry Hinge, which is between that and the Briganock Mine. These two locations are the main kind of area plot of Yon outside of the castle. So the Corrigs of Lockberry Hinge have a war of sorts with the Briganocks of the Briganock Mine. Through a misunderstanding, they both think that they work for the evil hag, Enderlin, where in fact they don't. They're just Enderlin's, hooting them both, forcing them to do things for her, that sort of thing. So there's a big misunderstanding. They're having a feud over this thing, thinking they're sticking it to the hag by working against the other faction, but actually these two groups actually have a common cause against the hag, and so it's need to realize this. Through talking to the Corrigs and then heading down to Briganock Mine after having a chat with them and exploring the mine. Now the mine, good luck getting through all that. Those saving throws, not to fall asleep and things like that. I definitely had all my players keep failing apart from one, and one player who kept passing it all the time and being the one person awake and sticking around, don't know what's going on, things like that. But eventually, they talk to folks down in the mine and get the scoop of what's going on, piece things together pretty easily, and arrange for peaceful negotiations there. And it's simple enough to do. So a bit of back and forth, not too complicated there. And they get them working together and get all these allies on side. Upon achieving peace between these two peoples, the Briganocks present the players with a gemstone that is worth like 50 GP, that is represents their wish, and it's supposed to be like what happened to their wish that they made back in Chapter 1 when they first arrived at the carnival. Their heart's desire, they wished for it when at the start of the campaign. So they present those gemstones, which is worth some money, and that's basically it. Which is a little disappointing payoff there. I think a better way of doing it is to instead, what I did was they get presented this kind of glowing gemstone. They get presented that, and when they get it, it turns into a magic item that kind of is to do related to the wish they made. So either there's something that helps them in achieving their goal, their wish, or somehow related in some way that makes sense. They're like, oh yeah, why that wish would kind of end up being like this item here. Something a bit more interesting, and again, some cool little magic item payoffs there for the players. So rather than, because currently, throughout the whole campaign, there is no method of spending actual, gems and money and things. It's like there's nothing here for that. So getting players just money or gemstones that are worth money is pointless. So it's a bit more fun. Go, here you go, and pay off with a wish. Oh, I get a magic item that's related to the wish I made. That's pretty cool. So there's a little tweak there for you. Also note in the Briganock Mine, on the passage to the secret passage, that makes sense. There is a bridge, a Rivenwish chasm, the bridge. They have to you run across the bridge, and the flame scales pop up and try and scare them, but you just run right past them, and that's it. It's not really anything. Like, okay, it seems very anticlimactic. So it's potentially you might want to, depending on what your players are interested in, like you might want to make it more, like say more of a combat, say more there. Judging on your group, like had a bullet burst out and have a bit of a fight across the bridge, rush across the bridge, or maybe the flame scales are more aggressive, something like that. I think I need something a little bit more there. So a combat would probably suffice, but if you want to stick with, say, more non-combat angle, you might come up more creative riddle or puzzles or something there. It just feels a little lackluster down the Brigandot Mine, and exploring through it, I feel like it needed a little bit more. So something to think about there, because yeah, as written, the just running on the bridge, you did it, good job. It was a little lackluster. Now with the secret passage secured in the Brigandot Mine, the players can travel from the mine all the way to underneath Mother Horn somehow. Don't think about Feywild geography too much. I'm sure it all makes sense somehow. But yeah, they tunnel all the way across Yon and pop out underneath the castle. Now, with Mother Horn, few key things the players should be after here in Mother Horn. So the Unicorn Horn will likely still, assuming they missed it and don't have it yet, the Darkling merchants were the last people they knew had it, and their balloon is parked at Mother Horn, and they should see that in the distance. The storm cloud balloon, it's hard to miss. And of course, the Unicorn Horn is no longer in the merchant's possession. They've on-sold it to Sculla, the League of Malevolence member, the Warlock of Baba Yaga, who resides in Mother Horn. She left the group and she is there. So the players will need to contend with her for the horn once they realise she has it. So the players are here for the Unicorn Horn, most likely. They're here for their lost things, which they will have felt when they first arrive in Yon, that they've lost things here. And potentially, if they haven't retrieved lost things from other hags who have fled and retreated here, for ease, I had the hags, carry all the things stuff they'd stolen or whatever in bags with them, so they could potentially get off or deal with the hags in person here at Yon, rather than having too much running around back and forth between their homes and raiding their homes when the hags aren't home or anything like that. I just had it. The hags have a little satchel and they brought the stuff with them. They pack up their stuff and they bring the key objects with them that they have. Enderlin's one being, and her lost things are still stashed in her bedroom cupboard, bed, glass cabinet thing she sleeps in. And the other thing they'll be here for is, of course, to get to House of Heart's Desire, they need to find Glister, Gleam's sister, who is locked in prison, and help free her to appease Gleam. And then Amador will feel like he can now be helpful and take the players to Palace of Heart's Desire, for his honor demands they must help Gleam before buggering off to Palace of Heart's Desire for reasons and such. So those are the objectives here in this castle, Motherhorn. So arriving at Motherhorn, most likely through the secret tunnel. So unfortunately, you're probably not going to get up running the theatre game. You can try, it might happen, you never know. But those 4 pages, like the huge amount of page count they dedicated to this theatre sports game they put in this section where Stage Fright, the Goblin, hands people lines at the role play and do this kind of little theatre sports game. I think it's unlikely to happen. I tried, and at that point, the players were in sneak mode, and when Stage Fright even got near them, they suggested them away. They were very much like stealth mode and having none of that. Skabatha and Loomlurch in the previous chapter really poisoned the well. As soon as you introduced, slave trader, well, enslaver, and kidnapping children hag, who then can't really deal with, and likely pissed her off in some way, and she's retreated to Motherhorn. The well's kind of been poisoned a bit, and now it's kind of like, well, okay, the hags are onto us, and they're not too happy with us. Oh well. So I feel like that's based off the previous chapter and how the previous chapter leans towards. It's likely to make things more that way for Motherhorn too. Both the players will feel that they need to go that way more, as well as how the hags go if they end up getting hags feeling that way and how they act. We'll have a look. I'll talk about hags a little bit more in a sec once we get up to them. But it's a tricky one. I think it's a bit of a downside with how the each chapter was written by a different writer, and so without a huge amount of consideration to how each chapter will affect the following chapter, because I feel like definitely the previous chapter ends up, even though the players have the knowledge now to social and roleplay through Motherhorn quite successfully, but based off the encounters in the previous chapter, and as well as also, hey, secret entrance. Why would you not take a secret entrance? Unfortunately, they'll probably end up not using those skills and go, well, actually, let's go back to status quo, sneaking and jumping things if need be. With, again, can still fall back, and there's opportunities here still to go, oh no, change attack time. That'll fall back onto the roleplay angle, using what we've learned to maneuver around certain encounters throughout Motherhorn. But yeah, so just be aware of that. Depending on how things have been playing out, can definitely affect Motherhorn drastically. Alright, so assuming players took the secret entrance, which they probably did, they'll arrive in the workshop area under the main stage. Now, immediately they'll stumble upon a friendly skeleton marionette who can tell them basically everything about Motherhorn, the layout of the place. And so at that point, you could give them the map if you want, because the skeleton goes, well, yeah, sure, let me tell you all the things. Thanks for helping me out. I'm out of here. So the friendly NPC who just gives them all that. And then there's the main workshop floor beyond, where Sculler's right there amongst a bunch of harmless goblin workmen and things. And so she's got the horn, and the players have gone that way. You probably want to maneuver her. Maybe she's leaving the room as they arrive, so they catch eye of her, and she's kind of always one step ahead of them, or something like that. Not necessarily she spotted them, but just she happened to be on the go and doing things. And then if she does catch wind of them, maybe keep her moving, make it more of a chase sequence. Because ideally you don't want the players catching Skeller and getting the horn off her before talking to the Darkling merchants to realize that they don't have the horn anymore and sold to her. You don't really want them out of sequence. It's not as great. So, and it's a bit stronger when she playing her up to be more of a clever, deceptive mastermind kind of person. Maybe always one step ahead. Maybe beef her stats up a little bit, because definitely she drops pretty quick. If she gets to a fight, like that's her done. She does have that password which can summon a bunch of animated objects and things, but her stats were so low that when her players jumped her, she didn't even get a turn to activate the object. She was out cold. So you might want to potentially, if you want to make her more fighty, buff her up. Either that, or just keep her constantly moving, constantly ahead. Let's search for her and make that challenging. Maybe she is in the process of leaving maybe she just got horn. She's in the process of leaving Motherhorn to head to the Palace of Heart's Desire to trade Kellic, the unicorn's horn, for some master plan that she has, or she's got some intrigues going on there. Maybe build her up a little bit more to make her a bigger player in this, and perhaps they need to chase her to catch her before she reaches the Palace of Heart's Desire. Or maybe she succeeds, and especially the players do muck around, have a time limit, and she delivers that horn to Kellic, and that could make a very interesting final battle in Chapter 5, the Palace of Heart's Desire. As written, it is not great, which we'll get to when I do a video on Chapter 5, and there's a lot of changes that need to be done in Chapter 5 with the palace there. But back to Motherhorn. So yeah, so Skella is right there, and so you definitely want to be careful with her. And when the players leave the workshop and head upstairs, they arrive on the stage area where, wow, the jig is up at that point. Things get very interesting very fast. So they're met by 25 fully armed Darklings, just sitting watching in the audience, ready to be deployed by Endlin Moongrave, youngest daughter of Baba Yaga, who's in a balcony seat overlooking this as well as on another balcony seat is her two sisters, Bavona and Skabatha, from the previous chapters, if they've been disturbed, and they would be here as well. Now, how I ran this, so my players ended up being very hostile to Skabatha, naturally, because, the whole child slavery thing. And Skabatha fled here. And so, naturally, with the hags, they bicker and work against each other constantly in times of peace. But if any serious threat comes to them, presents themselves, like harms them in some way, their bickering ends and they convene the coven, and they are united front. So you always want to keep them bickering and against each other's throats. As soon as they unify, they become problematic. So at this point, the hag coven are there. So I have, even though Skabatha was the one who was harmed and Bavona had not been, the players, they took their time getting to Motherhorn and therefore gave enough time for Skabatha to basically convene the coven and get Bavona over here too. Someone's threatened the coven and their power over Prismere. This is a problem for all of us. We're all here now. So the coven is convened here. Of course, there's still plenty of opportunities here to get the coven to turn on each other. This is not the final battle per se. This is far from it, unless the players really want it to be, which all power to them. It's definitely not a great setup for them. At this point, they should probably, this is where the theatre sports game could come in if they're trying to appease Endelin's, and this is her home. She's in charge here. She may underestimate the players because she's never interacted with them, and potentially she could be appeased and dealt with separately, but all the players may have had enough at this point and gone more of a hostile approach. If the players managed to sneak by somehow or got run, that is also possible as well. So just play it by ear there. But with the hags, they can be manipulated and bickered against, and if that happens, players definitely have a lot of latitude to have full reign of Motherhorn. If the hags are too busy to give orders to their minions, to focus on each other, that is when the players can kind of pretty much have free reign of this place and quickly go grab their stuff and get out of there while the hags are bickering. And that's kind of what they should hopefully be doing. They should have learned by now. So, for example, if the players have the portrait of Skabatha they've stolen from Loomlurch, they could, at this point, we have prime time to deliver that portrait to Bavona. And so here you go, Bavona. We've got the portrait as you requested. Our deal is complete. And Skabatha will be fuming, like, what, you hired these people, these assassins, you did all this, blah, blah, blah. And like, oh, and they should be at each other's throats, and and the players should be inserting different things into the dialogue here to get the hags to turn on each other as opposed to the players, and make it look like they were just working on their various sisters' interests against each other, and turn that way. So with that, with the hags hopefully distracted, or how other method the players choose to deal with this huge situation, they'll be able to, without too much trouble, go around to visit the merchants, discover the horn's not there, rescue Glister to appease Gleam, and Armador, so ready to go to the next location, and get their lost things from Endlin's bedroom, and potentially, if they haven't already got things off the other hags, try and do that. Well, hopefully with the portrait delivery of Bavona, she'll be compelled to hand over their items, which we'll have on her. And if they haven't raided stuff from Skabatha yet, potentially they might have to think about some creative solution there to rob Skabatha or make a deal with her right now and just help her with this situation with her sisters. that sort of thing. With that, they're good to go. They can leave Mother Horn, no problem. Apart from Scylla, which, depending on what you've done with her, she'll have that unicorn horn, try and flee, and maybe they try and catch up to her. Or perhaps they corner her in Mother Horn and have a confrontation there, and then they make a deal, or just knock her out and take the horn. Up to you. With the completion of Mother Horn, an Amador in hand, the players will be good to go to leave Mother Horn. They could deal with the hags at this point. The events that the players want to do, if the players have figured out the hags are related to Zybilna, they may feel like maybe murdering Zybilna's siblings without talking to her first might put her in a bad mood. Maybe they should talk to her first and then figure out what to do about the hag coven, and therefore leave them to it and try and just continue on their way to free Zybilna before confronting the hags in a more lethal manner. So it depends on the players there. Otherwise, Mother Horn could potentially be the final confrontation with the Hourglass Coven, depending on, again, the players and what they want to do. In either case, they head off from Mother Horn either by bird, a giant swan, or just walking along the ground, especially if they got a mount like Juniper and a carriage. They might want to keep her going on the ground there with Amador's guidance to get through the Palace of Heart's Desire. Once leaving Mother Horn, they will be level 7 and remain so for the rest of the adventure. In the mist on their way through to the Palace of Heart's Desire, a potential encounter you could insert, if you like, assuming they're not too busy chasing Scylla, although it could be interesting to mix this in with the chase, if it is a chase sequence you want to run, is Fomorian Invasion Force. So you probably want the players to actually come into contact with no more than 2 Fomorians, but so it could be a more of an elite royal guard or scouting party, but they could definitely see more Fomorians lumbering about in the distance. And these Fomorians are led by the Queen Fomorian, who is currently in the Palace of Heart's Desire in Chapter 5 there, and she is being stalled with food after going in to declare war on Prismare and Zybilna to conquer this place. They've crawled up from the Underdark, the Feydark, and will seize this place. And so all the Fomorians are waiting, milling about outside the palace gates there, waiting for the Queen to return to give them their orders, and they're kind of milling about. And so you could have an interesting encounter, be sneak, talk to, or fight, if you want to insert more combat, if there hasn't been much. Fomorians, some Fomorians that you can see build up the Fomorian Queen more, who resides in the palace there, that encounter. So that's a fun little extra encounter there, if you like. But the padding is less required as there's no more level ups for the rest of the campaign. So, but yeah, something interesting you could do to build up that encounter later. All right. This has been Cutting Words. I'm Brad Thompson, and we'll pick this up for the final video in the series, Chapter 5, The Palace of Heart's Desire, and go over what lays within. All right, until next time, if you enjoy these videos, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss them. If you like this video, hit that like button and let me know what you think in the comments below. I'll catch you around, in the next video. One more to go. Wow. What a trip. Okay. Catch you around. See ya.